So, story thus far, there are pockets of risk. Global growth is still decelerating. But overall, the combination of the policy response and the state of current imbalances in advanced economies suggests that global growth is more likely than not to stabilize eventually around its new modest trend of about 3.25%. But obviously this is a judgment, not a guarantee. Not that anyone will remember that line, but I'm going to repeat that. It's a judgment, not a guarantee. The world is in a delicate equilibrium. Business and consumer confidence are being buffeted by policy uncertainty, and the sustainability of those debt burdens depends on interest rates remaining low and global trade remaining open. The proportion of the global economy growing above trend has fallen from 4/5. So a year ago, 4/5 of the world was growing. And in many respects, the trade tensions abroad and the Brexit debates at home are manifestations of fundamental pressures to reorder the nature of globalization. And it is possible that new rules of the road will be developed for a more inclusive and resilient global economy. At the same time, there's a risk that countries turn inwards, undercutting growth and prosperity for all. Concerns over this possibility are already impairing investment, jobs, and growth, creating a dynamic that could become self-fulfilling. Evan and Iqaluit could be starting to end. Now, I think we know that recessions are notoriously difficult to predict. The risks from China and de-globalisation are significant and growing, and I think the question is this how the expansion could end? Protectionism is already having an impact. Last year, trade growth lagged the growth of global activity, and current global export PMIs signal an outright contraction in trade. Bank of England simulations suggest that an increase in tariffs of 10 percentage points between the U.S. and the rest of the world would take 2.5% off U.S. output and a point off global output through trade channels alone. If business confidence and financial conditions are also effective, these impacts could double. United States. Last year, as many of you would know from personal experience, returns on all major. Most fundamentally, the larger and more permanent the disruption of global trade, the greater the reduction in both activity and supply capacity of economies. A material hit to supply is something that advanced economies have not seen since the mid-1970s. In this scenario, a combination of slower growth, smaller surpluses in Asia, and higher risk premia could move global interest rates higher, increasing the burden of corporate and household debt and challenging the creditworthiness of some sovereigns. So contrary to what you might have heard, it's not easy to win a trade war.
And try and give you a straight answer. Is this how the global expansion ends? Is it global conflicts?
Well,
is that
if the UK, I'll finish where I started, if the UK has been somewhat more inwardly focused of late, it's been for good reason. In many respects, Brexit is the first test of the new global order, and it could prove the acid test of whether a way can be found to broaden the benefits of openness while enhancing democratic accountability. Brexit can lead to new forms of international cooperation and cross-border commerce built on a better balance of local and supranational authorities. In these respects, Brexit could affect both the short and long-term global outlooks. So it's in the interests of everyone, arguably everywhere, from Frobisher's grave to Frobisher's Bay, that a Brexit solution is found that works for all.
Well, thank you very much.
It's not clear the direction of monetary policy if there is a hard Brexit, because in the end we will have some conflicting forces. We will have, for a period of time, a reduction in the supply capacity of the economy. We would expect lower demand, not least because what still is our largest trading partner would there would be lower demand from the EU, and the exchange rate would adjust, and the net of that could quite well be inflationary for a period of time. Now, that's not as people know, there's a lot of subtleties around that, and we're not saying that definitely implies a tightening of policy, but we do want to put people on notice that this is a different situation than what had happened, what normally has happened through, judging from your young age, all of our professional lifetimes, which is that hits to the economy have been largely hits to demand. This is actually, for a period of time, a hit to supply.